that film was never intended for anyone else but us. It was, we were calling ourselves Gandus for what we had done to ourselves, and at that point we were about to give up on everything and decided to make a film with whatever we had. It was completely organic. The name happened because we sat down and thought, what should be the protagonist be called in a situation like this? What would people call him? People call him Gandu, so why can't we call it Gandu? And it didn't sound offensive at all to me, because I realized that by doing that, and later on, what I realized much later was that it was a very obvious political move, which at that point of time maybe I didn't think of so carefully. But later on in hindsight, I realized that what we have been able to do is that we modified the word Gandu from being an adjective to a noun, a proper noun, and thereby made it Brahmin. So what we actually did was a conversion, and that was for me a very interesting, carve up the sea thing. Okay, so you're basically the drain, you're calling the drain into your house and naming it something else. So I would like to actually direct your attention to somewhere else, where there's not much happening actually. And that's where we should be possibly looking, because they are indeed the future of the planet. I'm talking about Japan, which is a nuclear state, and they're radioactive and they're mutants. You know that, right? Japan, all Japanese people are actually non-humans. They have gone across that boundary, that line, because everyone in that island was exposed to radiation at one point of time, and that had a deep impact on them. And they keep joking about this. They keep going back to this logic. And I would direct your attention to a particular film, which nobody in this room has seen. Perhaps 2 or 3 people have seen in this country, because nobody knows about this film. It's called Rape Zombies. I implore you to watch it, download the torrent, and watch the film, because you will get the answer of what we are talking about in that film. Japan as a society has commodified everything to an extent where capitalism has ceased to exist almost. It is a beautiful harmony of a netherworld where anything or everything can be bought or sold, and simple negotiation, almost like a barter system, exists for people to exist and carry on with their lives. So anything that you need, you wouldn't get offended or abused or think that you're let's call it this way. If you think that if I'm thinking that I really hate Muslims, I cannot handle Muslims. So in that case, I'm choosing to opt for a particular kind of life. In Japan, you would find a place, a district, where you can go and live that life and be completely happy with it. So coming to your point about the hate speech, if we can be allowed to lampoon Modi or call Mamata names or say anything about anyone, Modi should also be allowed to have his hate speech. Okay, let it all exist. And let that, what we are currently fighting is actually exposure. We are fighting exposure to information. We are fighting the fact that in this huge country, there's an amazing majority which for the last 25 years have been completely blacked out from having any acute information, like proper content. Where have we last seen proper content? Where have we last read completely open, clear political discourse?
That's why with the short film, Modi always has the right to speak what he has to speak, right? So that's all you have. I think Modi should be the one whose rights should be moderated.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I'm just saying that I'm just going back to that particular point, that if you allow things, you allow everything. And since Modi has his hate speech or someone else has their hate speech, let us also have our free speech.
But what is the structural solution to everybody having the right to free speech? It's not possible, right? I mean,
it is possible. Look at it. That is why I'm asking you to look at Japan, because there the leftist magazine and the right-wing magazine almost function from the same street. and they are at loggerheads with each other. Their governance is in tatters. They change prime minister every other day. But at the same time, there seems to be no, nothing boiling in Japan that is coming out like in India or Iran or,
like
or
for
France.
example, America. That's what I always kind of keep.
Or
saying
America.
that. Or America is this kind of freedom, right? According
Fuck
to.
all that.
But anyone is allowed to say what they want
is
to.
true.
Right?
I
so,
just
and
actually-
then what is it? It doesn't lead to a bloody revolution then.
No,
People
it,
think that they
it
have.
does and it does not, and that is what is the great question to be asked at this point. But I think in the Western construct, that is why I'm trying to think of Japan constantly, because you have to understand that the Western world is an absolute world. They have absolutes for everything, and it's a very clear-cut world of driven by rationale, which unfortunately for the rest of the world doesn't make any sense. You talk to any African about rationality, they wouldn't know what the fuck you're talking about. Because
The idea
the
of liberalism and free
philosophy-
speech is also seen
I
as a
would,
Western
no. One second, let me finish this. What I'm trying to say is the Oriental positioning is a far more complex position of understanding social behavior than the Western one, driven by rationalism. So therefore, if we want to have any kind of example, if we want to look at examples, we should look at Oriental examples and not Occidental examples.